From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, and in between following the T20 World Cup that the men are playing over in Australia, I've been enjoying a little bit more live music. Can't get enough of it. This time, something of almost a private performance. Anyone who's a fan of music in the 90s might remember the Blue Tones. Certainly a feature of many a nightclub I was in when I was probably too young to be there. But Mark Morris, friend of a friend of a friend, played at my cousin's birthday. That was a bit of a treat and a throwback as well. And I've just found out that my favourite band, Crowded House, are going to be touring Australia. Well, they are touring Australia, but as happens so often, I think my itinerary means I'm going to miss them by about a day everywhere I go. Never mind. They're in Perth though, and I don't think I can get a ticket. Sold out.
I can see the guitar behind you, Ali, so I'm sure you're ready to strike that up when you come and join us for the serious part of the summer, red ball test cricket. But at the moment it's pretty serious, and there have been a lot of Indian, Pakistani fans in particular around the place, and they're going to get a treat, I would think, on Sunday in Melbourne one way or another. But certainly the Pakistani fans all over it at the moment, having run into a rich vein of form at the right end of the tournament, which is what these tournaments in particular are about, playing your best cricket at the knockout stage, not in the first few matches and then fading.
Well, we need to play some good cricket as well. Hello, I'm Charu Sharma for All India Radio. Today in Melbourne, because we're on a cricket exchange with Melbourne's Wesley College. That's my school in Ajmer, Mayo College, Ajmer. You might remember on Stumped, perhaps 3 or 4 years ago, we'd come here to Melbourne, and then, of course, later Wesley came to India, where we hosted them for a few matches. So it's a fabulous cricket exchange. But apart from that, of course, tonight I'm sort of a little decked up because we're in the middle of a dinner as well, thrown by the Indian High Commission here in Melbourne. So I've taken their permission. Girishji, who's the Consul General, to come here very quickly and get the program doing. So just a quick hint at how important Stumped is for me.
Glad to hear it, Charu. We've got your priorities bang on there. But yeah, very nice to see you looking very smart for those watching on YouTube. Great to see you both. Look, there have been so many remarkable events, haven't there, around this men's T20 World Cup. But the story of Pakistan making the final is right up there. They beat New Zealand by 7 wickets in their semi. A comfortable win in front of fervent fans who, as in many World Cups before, have been on an absolute emotional rollercoaster with their team. There was that incredible match against India, ultimately defeat for them in Pakistan's opening game, but then a follow-up loss to Zimbabwe. They were all but out, no chance of making the knockouts, and then suddenly the Netherlands beat South Africa, so South Africa were out, and Pakistan had a lifeline to the semis, and now the final. So Jim, you said that you thought Pakistan would make it to the semis, but they've actually gone one further. Yeah, and that look on your face, I can tell you're pretty pleased with your prediction.
Well, I'm pleased for them because I like the way they play their cricket, and I've been missing Rizwan and Baba getting their opening partnerships rolling as they do so often until the semi-final, when they clicked into gear. There was an energy about the whole of their cricket, their fielding, their bowling, the control they exercised over New Zealand, and they got crucial early wickets, which is so much the key to this. And then they barnstormed their way to a victory. So if they can maintain that in Melbourne against whoever they play, they're a big chance. It's having a look. There's all sorts of mirror reflections of 1992 as we go through, and big chance that it could be Pakistan and England are playing in the final as they did back then, when Pakistan had an enormous escape in the lead-up matches, as they did in some ways here with the Netherlands upsetting South Africa when they were bowled out for a mere 80 in Adelaide against England, and the rain came and they got 1 point each. So that was very helpful all those years ago. But it's gone pretty well, other than the fact that you could say Australia didn't quite turn up when they needed to. And that's why they're not playing in the big games.
Well, I was going to come to that. I was going to spare your pain until later on, Jim. Let's stay with Pakistan for the moment. Charu, I mean, do you think that, I suppose there's that big word, momentum is with them? Interestingly enough, also, I don't know whether you've been following the social media of Pakistan, but it's an influence that Matthew Hayden has been having on them. But he's there as the team mentor, and he picked out a moment, he said, when Rizwan was doing throwdowns, or the other way around, Babar was doing throwdowns to Rizwan ahead of the match. And he said that kind of embodied the sort of spirit within the camp of, all helping each other, being in it together.
To remind everybody here that I also picked them as a wild card to actually win, which I got heavily criticized for in some areas, saying Pakistan, really, you got to be kidding. But here we are.
And Babar as lead scorer.
True, I said that too. He hasn't had such a good tournament. But yeah, I think it's the freedom. It's like, well, I mean, that's it then. We have to win everything in front of us. And sometimes it can free you up. The pressure of expectation was really the first match against India, where I mean, there's not only the traditional rivalry, but as we all know, if one of the teams wins, then that nation really, puts these people up into the clouds. But if the team should lose, then the level of criticism is a little excessive. And if I might be allowed to say so, I think, and from what we know, of course, once Pakistan lost to India, the level of criticism in Pakistan is kind of excessive. Having gone through all of that and lost the next one, I think there was just this sort of, freeing the shackles for Pakistan. And they suddenly said, all right, forget the pressure. Let's enjoy our game. And that's what's showing through, because they're playing with utmost freedom. They do have a great team, that we know, and are probably, there's no real hole in their performance areas, except perhaps a little bit in the middle order. Luckily, against New Zealand in the semis, they didn't really have to test that very much, because Babar and Rizwan finally came good, which was very necessary for Pakistan. And that's an ominous sign for the final.
Well, I was going to say that as well. How much do you reckon, Jim, Pakistan's final hopes rest on Babar and Rizwan firing at the top? Is it too simplistic to say that, Pakistan will do well, maybe win if those two get going?
I think if those two get going, they've got a very strong chance, but even without them, they could do very well. Haris Mohammed, the newish boy at number 3, has been a revelation. They bat fairly deep, I suppose. They've got some good all-rounders there. We always say in cricket the battle of the near ball is crucial, but perhaps in T20, as we saw certainly with Australia's performance last year, if you've got some depth in your batting, you can keep banging away, and that is the hope for whoever plays in the final, that depth gives them a score, and you'd think 160 plus on the MCG, that might be enough. But the more serious concern, and we hate to talk about this, but it's looming, is the weather. And the last thing we want is a 5-over Duckworth-Lewis game to decide the final. So here's hoping we get a 3-hour window so that we can get a proper game of cricket.
Right, well, staying with the Men's T20 World Cup, it has been a tournament of surprises and unexpected results. Namibia, ranked 14th in the world, beat the reigning Asia Cup champions Sri Lanka. We saw the West Indies, 2 times former champions, being beaten by both Scotland and Ireland. And Zimbabwe came out on top against Pakistan, who, of course, then made the final. But arguably the biggest upset of them all, because of the direct ramifications on the semi-finalists, was on the final day of the group stages, when South Africa were knocked out by the Netherlands, the lowest ranked side in the Super 12s. So let's get inside the Netherlands camp and speak to their coach, Ryan Cook, who joins us on Stumped. Hello, Ryan. How are you doing?
Hi, great to see you.
Great to have you on with us. Now, look, you are a South African. You're back in Cape Town now, inflicting heartbreak on your countrymen. How did that feel to coach the Dutch team to, what was really quite a momentous victory?
Yeah, I was really proud of the players and the support staff. Obviously, it was a goal that we set ourselves at the start to beat sort of a full member nation in the Super 12. So to be able to do that was an amazing achievement from the guys.
Coming from the country, I mean, you would have been only too well aware of the difficulties South Africa have had over the years of reaching finals. They often get knocked out in the semis, but you did a game earlier than that. How proud are you of your team, and what do you think were the building blocks to sort of get you to that point when you were able to eliminate a team like South Africa?
I think it's been something in the making for a long period of time. We started a long journey playing a lot of those Super League matches in which we got a lot of experience playing against the major nations, and we came up short on a couple of occasions and continued to do so. But the belief kept growing and growing the closer and closer we got. So we knew we weren't far away from picking up one of those victories, and obviously it came on the last day of the World Cup against South Africa. But to us, it was sort of a period of time that led up to that, some really good preparation for the tournament, and as I say, a lot of exposure against those major nations, which I think helped us get that belief.
So this result, Ryan, means that you're in the next World Cup after you had that extraordinary win the other day, but by finishing fourth in your group, you've qualified. So how big a news is that for Dutch cricket to have qualified for the next World Cup?
Oh, I think it's massive. I'm not sure how many times the Dutch team would have qualified for a World Cup with such time in advance. So in terms of the planning and preparation that can be done for the next World Cup, I think that's huge. I think the resources that would potentially be able to flood into the Netherlands cricket and obviously develop everybody through the system will be massive and generate a lot of interest, I think, in the Netherlands as well. One of the things is we are competing with other sports there, and obviously to get a few more people into the grassroots and then a bit more resources into the system will be really well welcomed, I think.
So just talk about your standout players, because here and there over a period of time, you've had a few what I'd call ring-ins, blokes like Dirk Nannes who've played. But now it seems to have a more of a homegrown Dutch flavour. So talk about some of those key players in your team.
I think we are a unique team in that way because the team that we've played during the summer has not necessarily been the same team that went to the World Cup. So we still had a lot of guys come in for that period of time. I think Scott Edwards and myself were very keen to get the team that was going to the World Cup together as quickly as possible. So we had a few camps before down in Cape Town. We had some camps in Adelaide and in Brisbane where all the players from various places came in and joined up one by one with one another. And I think that was really good for the cohesion because previously the guys would sort of get amalgamated just before the tournament and then obviously have to operate together. And I think I've learned that the cohesion of that group was something that was remarkable and something that really helped us in the end. So, having all those players come in and all the experience that comes with those players having played county cricket or international cricket before really does make a big difference to the side that we have. There's obviously a lot of development that we have going on in the last couple of years, and those players have kind of stood up as you go. We've got 3 players there under the age of 20. So, from that perspective, it was a really great achievement and really nice to have both the mixture of experience and the youth as well.
Ryan, hi, this is Charu Sharma for All India Radio. Congratulations on that magnificent win. I'm amazed to let you back in South Africa. But, now that you've, as Jim said, gotten to the 2024 World Cup, and of course, so many other avenues should open up. What more needs to be done, do you think, in order of priority to try and get to and stay in the top drawer of international whiteboard cricket, at least?
Well, that's a big question that you ask there because, we often complain or say that we don't have the resources, but hopefully we can get those resources in there now. Obviously we've been very blessed with our sponsorships along the way, but hopefully we'll be able to attract some more sponsorship into the game, as I said, a bit more resource, and put some systems and structures in place which kind of will take the game from what is pretty semi-professional to a professional nature. I think there are only 4 players in the whole country that are contracted. We only have 5 turf wickets. There's a lot of challenges that we'll need to overcome in that space. And the order of priority will have to be decided, I guess, by the powers that be and the board, etc. But certainly I think it will make a big difference in getting that structure and those systems right.
Well, of course, all of them want to know more about you, Ryan. I mean, we can rattle out a few things like the Big Bash assistant coaching with the Hobart Hurricanes, the South Africa A, the South Africa Under-19, the fielding coach with Bangladesh, the Gary Kirsten Academy, and so on and so forth. But have you found your space, do you think, with the Dutch team, or is there something more that you are looking to do?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, with all those roles, I was sort of in an assistant role more so. And this has been my first sort of dipping my toe into the head coaching role, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's been a great challenge, and what a great bunch of guys to be able to start with. The players themselves are just a really humble group of players. The captain, Scotty Edwards, who's taken over now, has been incredibly supportive. And it's just been fantastic to be able to utilize a lot of the resources that we've had and be able to try a lot of the things that I've been sitting on the side as an assistant coach and saying I would try that as a head coach, and being able to try those things and see if they work. And in some cases they do, and some cases I found out that it's a little more challenging than it seems.
Ryan, we had Ryan Campbell on Stumped a while back when he was recovering from his cardiac arrest. He, of course, was the Netherlands coach, and you came in, unfortunately, when that ill turn of health hit him. Did you have him you had him in the background, didn't you? He was part of the setup out there in Australia with you. How's he doing?
He's doing much better. He's recovered really well. We had him out there in a consultant capacity, and he was with us throughout the tournament, along with a couple of other consultants that we brought in, Gary Kirsten being one and Dan Christian being another. And then obviously joining up with a support staff that he knows really well, with James Hilditch and Peter Boren, along with the rest of the management staff. So that really worked nicely in terms of just getting all the information on the players. He obviously has walked a long journey with many of them, and has some background information also around playing in Australia and the conditions as well. So sort of picked his brain in that space, and it was good to have him with us.
Yeah, and it sounds like you had some pretty other big names in the background as well, helping you out. Congratulations on that particular win over South Africa and your performance in the tournament overall. And we wish you a lot of luck for the future going forwards. Thanks for being with us on Stumped.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
For now, that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped. So I'll say thanks to Jim Maxwell and Charu Sharma, and of course to all of you. And we'll see you again next week. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.